The silence of a quiet evening was shattered when Kim Seokjin, worldwide handsome, eldest member of BTS, and beloved son of South Korea, unexpectedly went live on Weverse. What began as a casual, heartwarming live stream meant to reconnect with ARMY after his military discharge quickly turned into a moment that would ripple across the fandom like a tidal wave. Jin, known for his playful charm and unfiltered honesty, had no idea that this particular broadcast would become one of the most talked about moments in BTS history. As the screen lit up with Jin's familiar smile, fans flooded the chat with purple hearts and messages of longing. His voice, slightly deeper than before, carried the warmth of someone who had missed his fans dearly. He spoke about his time in the military, his longing for the stage, and his excitement to reunite with the members. But then, without warning, something happened that no one could have predicted. That in the background, a figure appeared. It was brief, almost imperceptible. A man, older, with a calm and dignified presence, stepped into the frame for just a second before Jin turned around, startled. "Ah, sorry," he laughed, quickly adjusting the camera angle. "That's just someone from home," he added, brushing it off with his usual lighthearted tone. But ARMY had already seen it, and they knew that wasn't just someone. That was Jin's father. Within minutes, social media exploded. Screenshots circulated like wildfire. Fans compared facial features, posture, even the way the man walked. The resemblance was undeniable. The man who had briefly appeared behind Jin had the same sharp jawline, the same gentle eyes, the same quiet strength that Jin had always carried with him. It was the first time in BTS's decade-long career that a member's parent had been seen so clearly, so publicly, and so unexpectedly. What made the moment even more poignant was Jin's reaction. Though he tried to move on, his eyes softened. His voice trembled slightly as he continued speaking. "It's been a while since I've been home like this," he said, his gaze drifting off camera. "I missed this. I missed family." It was a rare glimpse into the private world of a man who had spent years under the spotlight, giving everything to his fans, his music, and his brothers in BTS. The live stream continued, but the atmosphere had shifted. Jin, ever the professional, kept the energy light, cracking jokes, singing snippets of old songs, even teasing the other members. He mentioned how Jungkook had sent him a voice note that morning, how Jimin had cried when they last spoke, and how RM had promised to write a song together once Jin was fully back. But even as he laughed, the chat was ablaze with one topic: Jin's father. For years, ARMY had speculated about the families behind BTS. While the members had occasionally shared stories, like how J-Hope's mother supported his dance dreams, or how Suga's father once doubted his path but later became his biggest fan, rarely had any of their parents been seen. BTS had always drawn a firm line between their public personas and their private lives. And yet, in that fleeting moment, Jin had unknowingly crossed it. What followed was a wave of emotion. Fans expressed awe, respect, and deep affection. Many shared how seeing Jin's father made them feel closer to him, as if they had been invited into his home, his heart. Others reflected on how much Jin had grown, how the boy who once joked about being worldwide handsome was now a man, mature, grounded, and deeply connected to his roots. The moment also sparked a wave of nostalgia. Clips of Jin's past interviews resurfaced, moments where he spoke about his father's influence, his family's support, and the values they instilled in him. In one old interview, Jin had said, "My dad is my role model. He taught me to be kind, to be strong, and to never forget where I came from." That quote, now paired with the image of his father, hit differently. It wasn't just words anymore. It was real. Back in the live stream, Jin continued to engage with fans. He read comments aloud, laughed at memes, and even did a quick mukbang with his favorite snacks. But every now and then, his eyes would flicker toward the hallway, toward the place where his father had stood. It was clear that the presence of family, of home, was grounding him in a way that no stage ever could. As the live stream neared its end, Jin grew quiet. "Thank you for always being with me," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Even when I'm not on stage, even when I'm just me." He bowed deeply, holding the pose longer than usual. It was a gesture of gratitude, of humility, of love. And then, just before he ended the stream, a voice called out from the background, "Gina, dinner's ready." It was soft, paternal, unmistakably familiar. Jin smiled, eyes glistening. "Coming," he replied, before turning back to the camera. "I'll see you soon, Army. I promise." The live stream may have ended, but the emotional aftershocks of Jin's accidental reveal were just beginning. Within hours, fan communities across the globe were ablaze with speculation, admiration, and heartfelt reflections. The image of Jin's father, brief, unintentional, yet deeply symbolic, had opened a door into the private world of BTS that fans had long respected but rarely glimpsed. And as the news spread, it wasn't just Jin who came into focus. One by one, the other members of BTS were drawn into the moment, each carrying their own stories, their own memories, their own quiet connections to family. Jungkook, the youngest, known for his fierce loyalty and emotional depth, posted a cryptic message on Weverse later that night. "Family is everything," he wrote, followed by a single purple heart. Army knew exactly what he meant. Jungkook had always looked up to Jin not just as a hyung, but as a role model. Seeing Jin at home, surrounded by love, reminded fans of the times Jungkook had spoken about his own family, his older brothers in BTS, and the father figures he found among them. Jimin, ever sensitive and emotionally attuned, went live the next day. His eyes were puffy, his voice soft. "I watched Jin Hyung's live," he said, barely holding back tears. "It reminded me of my dad. I miss him." The vulnerability in his voice echoed through the fandom. Jimin had always been open about his struggles, his longing for connection, and his deep bond with Jin. That night, he sang Promise with a trembling voice, dedicating it to everyone who loves quietly, from behind the scenes. Meanwhile, RM, the leader, the thinker, the poet, took to Instagram with a photo of a quiet street in Seoul. No caption, just silence. But fans knew. RM had often spoken about the weight of leadership, the burden of fame, and the grounding force of family. Jin's moment had reminded him, and all of BTS, of the roots they came from, the homes they left behind, the parents who watched from the shadows. Proud but unseen, Suga, ever stoic, posted a snippet of a new beat on SoundCloud. It was raw, stripped down, and hauntingly beautiful. In the comments, he wrote, "For the ones who raised us." It was a tribute, not just to Jin's father, but to all the parents who had stood behind BTS, quietly supporting their sons as they conquered the world. Suga's own journey, from a struggling producer in Daegu to a global icon, had been shaped by the quiet resilience of his family. And now, through music, he honored them. J-Hope, the sunshine of BTS, brought light to the moment in his own way. He posted a throwback photo of the group from their trainee days, captioned, "We've come so far, thanks to those who believed in us first." It was a nod to the families, the mentors, the unseen hands that had guided BTS from the shadows. Jin's father, appearing for just a second, had reminded them all of where they began. And then there was V,